Thank you so much. All right, let's bring in our guest to talk about this a little bit. Joining us now to discuss is my guest, national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, another victim of this monster. I mean, it's clear that this guy's a monster. I want him away as anybody else. Is this really a numbers game? The more victims they can bring forward to show how he treated them, how he may have used some of his power as the head of this organization that was really a music organization, but the federal government is trying to say it also was involved in forwarding this type of activity. Does it become a numbers game? The more they bring in, the more likely a conviction.
I like the way you framed it. The answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. Because the government, anytime the government is trying to do something that has no precedent, which is a racketeering charge against a music mogul for sex trafficking. If any of the viewers find that I'm wrong and there's a precedent, send me an email, I'll apologize. I could not find a precedent. Anytime you have that situation, the government has to make you hate the defendant. They have to paint him into a supervillain. And in this case, they're doing it by showing you how gross he is, how grotesque he is. I think they want the jury to make a reasonable inference that he did this stuff and that he's gross and he's disgusting, because at the end of the day, I like the way you say numbers game. At the end of the day, the jury are human beings. They're not AI robots. They're not going to be able to dispassionately discard his behavior, right? I mean, if he actually raped that woman, there's no statute of limitations for that. That is something that they can go after. Is it RICO by itself? No. So yes, it is a numbers game, because any one witness, if you believe them, it's not RICO. You have to take the totality. So I do think it's a numbers game.
All right, Michael, we'll continue to watch that case and hear from victim after victim. It really has become mind-boggling at this point, and our coverage will be expanding. All right, let's bring back in national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, you know, I think the way the Commonwealth used Karen Read's words, I think it was a mixed bag. But the two that I played, I thought were particularly effective. And the reason I say that is because one helps provide the motive, which I think is maybe a little bit of a weakness in their case, where she talks about arguing. But the other also provides an explanation for cuts on the face of John O'Keefe, which is something that the defense has pointed out as, how could it have gotten there if it wasn't, let's say, a beating of some sort? Well, it was glass breaking. That might have been what put the cuts on his eyelid and obviously on his nose. She's picking glass out of it. I thought those two were particularly effective. Overall, what do you make of that aspect of the Commonwealth's case?
Oh, it's the best part of it. It's the glue that put together Hank Brennan's case. It's the glue, absolutely. So I give this analogy to my staff. I'm going to give it here. It's the analogy of the beautiful salad, right? You look at a salad. It's got the crisp butter lettuce. It's got the thinly sliced shallots. It's got the accoutrement from a chef's kitchen. It's got all these things, but it's missing one thing. It's missing the olive oil and the dressing, right? That's exactly what her interviews are. They're the olive oil and the dressing to this beautiful salad that Hank Brennan has put together. It's got all these individual ingredients. She's glued it all together. She's given it the olive oil. She's given it the dress. Like, she has put it all together. So, because there's one thing that you cannot break. It's the fact that the defendant spoke about certain things, and she has put certain defenses aside. I'll say one thing, Michael. This is the most interesting part of this case is her interviews. One day we will find out the answer to something I'm curious about, which is why she even did these. I won't believe that, you know, amazing attorneys like the ones she would have allowed her to do these interviews. I think she did this over her attorney's objections. And if my assumption is correct and that is what happened, then that makes her a narcissist, because she spoke about a case. She went on a public speaking tour about this case before her retrial, and she admitted to a bunch of things, and she foreclosed certain defenses and threads that her defense attorneys wanted to do. If I'm wrong, I apologize. If her attorneys let her do this, that's one thing. I don't think her attorneys would have done that. Those are apex predators on the table next to her. There's no way they would have allowed their client to have these interviews. And there's so many more clips that we even play here in her interviews that just completely foreclosed tons of options for her and her attorneys. I feel bad for her attorneys, but this is what they have to deal with.
Yeah, you know, she kind of explained it, Mike. She said in one of the interviews with Matt, she said that, in fact, you know, she is an outspoken person. And this is the way she dealt with this issue. She was going to be outspoken. So the question for you is, having heard all this, do you think the jury now needs to hear from her? Is that something that she's feeling pressure about? Well, you know, I got to explain a couple of things. Does she need to take the stand and do that?
I think she has to take the stand. I don't think she will take the stand. I don't think she'll take it. I think it's a lot of bluster and bravado saying that she's going to take the stand. Her case, her defense theory is like the Wizard of Oz of defense theories, right? It's got this big bolstering bravado, but when you peer behind the curtain, there's nothing there. There's just a guy wearing a cheap suit with a silly look on his face. That's what I think. I don't think she's going to take the stand, and I think that she would just put her foot in her mouth even deeper. I think her defense, they have a rebuttal case. I think they're going to lean on the fact that perhaps they brought enough reasonable doubt, but I don't think she's going to take the stand. I think she should, but I don't think she will.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you there, but I bet that decision really hasn't been made yet. They're going to see how the defense case goes, and then they'll ultimately make that decision. I know she probably wants to, but again, if her defense attorneys have any power, they'll probably want to keep her off the stand. All right, Michael Jaafar, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the show.